Hello everyone and welcome to another video on the ToLiss Airbus A321. Today doing something slightly different again. We're going to do a flight from here in Copenhagen and we're going to fly over to an event in Helsinki in our Finnair Airbus A321. As I always say at the start, I am a real Airbus pilot. I do have a few thousand hours flying the Airbus, but I just thought it would be fun to have a look at this new detailed add-on for X Plane 11 and to give you guys a bit more context on home simulation. This is not for any real world use, of course. This is entirely for our own entertainment at home. So let's get going. Just going to tune into the ATIS and work out what's going on here in Copenhagen.
Transition level 60 automatic weather report. Wind 020 degrees 9 knots. Visibility more than 10 kilometers. Sky conditions scattered unavailable 5200 feet. Temperature 10. Dew point 2 QNH 1014. No significant change if unable to follow SID advice on initial contact. Squawk mode Charlie on pushback. This was Kastrup Airport. Departure and arrival information Lima. This is Kastrup Airport.
Okay, so it sounds like
departure and arrival information
Lima.
Med report 1620. Expect ILS approach. Visual approach on request. Runway 04 right in use.
04 right.
Transition level 60 automatic weather report.
Interesting.
Wind 020 degrees 9 knots.
Okay.
Visibility more than 10.
So I was expecting to probably take off from that runway 04 right. If we look at our chart, I can bring it up for you. So I was expecting a 04 right departure. It wouldn't make sense to taxi all the way down here, and if we use 22 it'd be a tailwind, and we're going northeast anyway, so I'm going to speak to air traffic control and get a clearance shortly so that we can make sure we've got the right flight plan loaded into the MCDU. Once we've done that, I'll set the altitude and the squawk and so on. For now I know the QNH 1014, so I can set that. It gives me an altitude of just above sea level, which is correct for Copenhagen. To show you the MCDU, I have a video on the MCDU setup if anybody needs it. But as you can see here, it's all loaded in. We are the Finnair 952, cruising at 350 from Copenhagen to Helsinki. Flight plan, at the moment, this is the plan, although I'll check their traffic shortly. Pretty much takes us straight northeast on the SID, heading all the way up to Helsinki. I haven't put the arrival in yet. I will check the charts en route as to what to expect at the other end. Secondary is just a copy of that. Radio navigator auto-tuned. Init B has been loaded up. Weights-wise, slightly heavy, 68 tons, with 8 tons of fuel on board. About, this reckons 2 tons extra. I put on a bit of extra fuel because it could be busy, I'm guessing, seeing as it's an event. I don't know, I'm quite new to VATSIM, so it's all an experiment for me. Great. And finally, performance is all loaded up already for this runway of 04 right, flat 1, flex 39, standard noise abatement. And there's our speeds. Okay, right, let's see if we can grab a clearance. I hope I've got the right frequency. It seems to be slightly different from the one I was expecting. What is a good idea, in fact, before I do that, is I'm going to bring up the expected departure that I'm anticipating, which won't be in here. So I'm expecting from 04 right the Chemax 4 Alpha. Go back. Where has it gone? I managed to go right past it. You spend a lot of time in this job doing this. For Alpha, QH for Alpha, there we go. So it's an RNAV departure. Speed limit 250 knots as usual. We are an RNAV equipped airplane, expecting flight level 70, so I'll set that once it's confirmed. So it's worth knowing the names of some of these departures so that you're ready to read it back in case you're not sure what they are called. Great, so let's talk to air traffic control. We're on stand Charlie 27. Copenhagen, good evening. Finnair 952, stand Charlie 27, Airbus A321, QNH 1014, request clearance Helsinki. Oh, it helps if I go onto the right frequency. Let's try that. Copenhagen, good evening. Finnair 952, stand Charlie 27. Airbus A321 QNH1014, request clearance Helsinki.
Good evening, Finnair 952 Copenhagen. Just double check you filed your flight plan correctly, please.
Oh, sorry, I'll check that, thanks. Okay, that's embarrassing. I don't think I filed the flight plan. You see, this whole wouldn't normally have to do that myself, hence I totally forgot about it. So I'll do that now. Okay, let's try that again. See if we can get that to work. Very embarrassing. Copenhagen, Finnair 952. We hopefully have now filed that flight plan, ready for clearance when you're able.
Yeah, Finnair 952, there it is. Information Lima with QNH1014. Your clearance is to Helsinki. Follow KMAX 4 Alpha departure. Squawk 6521.
Finnair 952, we've got QNH1014, clear to Helsinki, KMAX 4 Alpha departure, squawk 6521, Finnair 952.
Correct.
Great, there we go. So we have our initial clearance. Let's put in the cleared flight level, which we already saw earlier on our departure charts. Flight level 70 on the KMAX 4 Alpha, as expected. So, but then here, it is a flight level. I'm going to leave it as an altitude for now, and then once we're airborne, set the standard. There's the QNH1014 as agreed. Squawk of 656521. Great, and that stays on standby for now until we get pushed back. Let's get the passengers strapped in, give them some air, remove the ground power. Don't need that anymore. Hopefully the doors are closing as we speak. Yes, all ready to go. Excellent. So that's our clearance done. We've loaded up the MCDU with all the performance, which is now valid for that takeoff, which is just what we wanted to see. Let's just have a look at this here to make sure we haven't missed any obvious speed restrictions. Charlie Hotel's 361 and straight out. And we already discussed 250 knots at or below flight level 70, which is great. And if I go to our plan and with the constraints, I can see it's got a 250 knot speed limit already entered. Wants us to be above 1700 feet at that point, which should be no problem. If there was a problem with those restrictions, for example, if the computer with our weight and the weather we've entered didn't think we could make that restriction, then it would be an amber and it would be clear to us that that airplane doesn't calculate that it's going to be able to make that restriction. Great. So, have a quick look around, make sure I haven't forgotten anything really embarrassing. And I'm going to have a go at using the pushback chips from here. Excellent. So, let's go for push start. Finnair 952, request push and start.
Finnair 952, push and start is approved. If you can, push all the way back to face north on taxiway Sierra.
Okay, we'll give it a go. We'll push all the way to face north on Sierra, Finnair 952. Right, of course, he's given us a hard one. So, as you guys all recommended to me, I've got a better pushback now. So let's see if we can make this happen. I'm excited. How do I move the map? That's going to be the first problem. It says click and drag. There we go. So, Sierra is not obvious from here. So let's cancel this. Make sure we get this right.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
So we're going to need the taxi chart for that one. On the parking stands. It wants to face north on Sierra, so that's going to be facing this way here. So that's going to be pushed back. I'm not entirely sure how we're going to do that. Probably back into Romeo and then pull around onto Sierra. Otherwise, our tail would infringe that. So let's try that. So let's push back here. Like that.
Copenhagen Control, good afternoon, North France 3309, passing flight level 290. Good afternoon, North France 3309, Copenhagen identified. Proceed direct to Baslo, expect landing on May 04
north on Sierra. Oh, have
direct
I
to
got this
Baslo,
seriously wrong?
right, North France 3309.
I have got that wrong. North on Sierra would be all the way back.
Flight level 80.
I see. Okay, ignore me. I'm getting that wrong. North on Sierra. Here we go. Right, that's easier actually, which makes more sense. So let's put ourselves here. And then here, which is north on Sierra.
Portugal 756, taxi via Bravo and Romeo.
I think that's it.
Plan acknowledged. Call me through the menu when you're ready.
Bravo and Romeo cross runway 12.
Ground to cockpit. ToLiss driving up.
756, stand Delta 2.
Hopefully that's inside the rider. So now we run through Arbits. The thrust lever is set to idle. Windows are closed.
Alpha 14.
Windows are closed. Beacon light can go on.
Make it via Bravo.
Everything else is set to go. So doors closed, beacons on, tow truck recalled. We're leaving that on. I don't know why that's there. So next week for the parking brake to release.
Thanks.
Copenhagen Center, Lufthansa 4 Papa Hotel, good afternoon. Lufthansa 4 Papa Hotel, go.
What lots of people do is start the timer here for when you push back. Gives you an idea of how long you've been en route. For example, for the tech load, things like that. Just going to turn down that.
Lufthansa 4 Papa Hotel, information is mic now, but no significant changes. The connection.
Okay, all doors and hatches are closed. Ready to connect.
Squawk 1350.
Okay. So hopefully he's going to connect. Not sure if I'm missing something here. I think he's going to connect automatically. God, air traffic would be very angry if it took us this long to get going in real life. You normally can't call ready to air traffic control until you are actually ready to go.
Alpha departure and squawk is 1350. Lufthansa 4 Papa Hotel, ring point.
This must be pretty boring for you guys as well. I'm sure there's a better way of doing this. Alpha Air 952. Yeah, we've just got the tug connected, so pushing back in the next 30 seconds.
Yeah, just want to let you know if you're struggling with the pushback
Well connected and bypass pin inserted. Release parking brake.
That's okay. I think we've got it to work, so we'll be pushing to face north on Sierra if that's still okay with you.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay, great. So that's still okay. Like I say, air traffic will probably give up on you by that point. Brakes released.
Starting pushback, and you may start engines.
So today, let's start the engines as we would in real life. It's like a long pushback. We've got the APU bleed. Let's go. That goes there. We've got our pressure. Starting engine 2. Give that marker. Don't need to hear that.
Copenhagen Control, good evening again. Ligurian, let me see my course. Ligurian 134 at Delta 1 in Copenhagen. It's 1980 clearance to Oslo.
Hello again, Ligurian 134 information. Mike,
so we'll do this checklist. So we've done the parking brake. We're not going to do that. So next will be to get rid of the tow truck as we start.
77446.
Ligurian 134, we have information Mike, RH 1014, clear to Oslo, Vader 3 Alpha Squawk 7446.
Ligurian 134, wait back point. Lufthansa 4 Papa Hotel, request pushback. Lufthansa 4 Papa Hotel, push and start is approved. Push and start approved, Lufthansa 4 Papa Hotel.
You can hear the PTU again. I've since found out why the PTU noise appears. It's actually because I didn't have this setting. So in the ISCS sound setting, you can see here 3D fading. Because I have that off, you can hear the sound of the flaps, and the PTU, if you had it on, you can't, which is realistic to real life, where you wouldn't be able to hear it on the flight deck. So I found out why.
Runway 3 Lima is fully established for runway 2048. Runway 3 Lima, you're number 1.
Okay, so engine 2 nearly online. It's quite a long pushback. To be fair, in Copenhagen, there can be all sorts of length of pushbacks with these formats of taxiways. Good, there's the available message. Then go back to norm. Are we going the right way? I hope so. That can go off, that can go off. So we don't actually have to wait until we stop to do some of these things. That flat one takeoff. There, looks okay. And then triple stabilizer, which I can see from our ToLiss learning pair. So for the takeoff, it was going to be 27.3.
Ryanair 38 Lima, runway 0 for right, clear to land, wind is 02, 0 degrees and
Pretty close to normal. There we go.
Runway 0 for right, clear to land, Ryanair 38 Lima.
How are we doing? Yeah, not bad at all. This is a great add-on. Thank you for the recommendation, guys. Better pushback really, really does work, which I do like. It's going to be an evening flight today for us, so it should be quite fun. Excellent. There we are. Sharklets as well today. The real aeroplane, we have no differences really. It makes a tiny difference to some of the auto land limitations. It also changes the performance figures for the Sharklets airplanes. They burn less fuel obviously because they are slightly more efficient. So we've done that, set the flaps, great. So next we need to make sure.
Operation complete. Set parking brake.
Okay, brakes are set to park. We get that little message here.
Disconnecting tow. Stand by.
So this message goes amber once you have an engine running, and that's just to warn you not to try and taxi without having nose wheel steering working. It would be very bad. It would mean that the ground crew have left the pin into the nose gear.
Good evening, here is Transavia 056. Good evening, Transavia 056, Copenhagen, radar contact. Good evening, radar, good evening, Transavia 056.
This is a
Tow
great
is
add-on.
disconnected and bypass pin has been removed. Hand signal on the left. We'll see you next time and have a safe flight.
Okay, so we'd say goodbye to the ground crew. He said on the left. Last time I tried this, I couldn't quite see. Let's see if I have to move here. Let's see if we can see the tow truck out the window. Very important this, you don't want to accidentally try and taxi with the ground crew still connected. Very dangerous. So this is a very important part of the flight.
Lufthansa 4 Hotel, taxi via Lima.
There's the hand signal. Excellent. So we'd wave back.
Runway 12.
Okay,
And
let's
then
run
taxiways Alpha
the
and
rest of
Bravo,
this. So we've dismissed that. We've got the
0.0
parking brake on. I've started the engine already. I suppose what I could have done is start the timer, so we know it's been a couple of minutes already. Put that to normal. Turn off the bleed. Ground spoilers are on. Flaps take off. Rudder trim, pitch trim, masters off. Great. So let's taxi.
Ligurian 134, stand Delta 1, request push and start.
Ligurian 134, stand by for that.
Finnair 952, request taxi.
Finnair 952, taxi to holding point runway 0 for right, via taxiways Romeo and Bravo, cross runway 30.
Taxi holding point 04 right via Romeo Bravo, cross runway 30, Finnair 952. Okay, let's not embarrass ourselves anymore. So, Romeo, which is around there. Bravo, we're clear to cross runway 30 already. And then we'll carry on out to the...
route was correct, but it's runway 0 for right, of course.
Holding point 04 right, so that'd be Bravo all the way down, and we'll go to Bravo 1 today. Great, so we've had our way from the ground crew, put on the taxi lights, release the parking brake.
It's on 422, can we get some heading? We are way too fast to make this approach.
Now we're moving.
Get time 422, turn right by 20 degrees, descend now to 2,000
Just a little
feet
test of the
on
brakes,
1015.
they work. In real life, you can do that without bringing the airplane to a stop.
Right by,
Watching our N1s, we don't want to go more than, especially maybe 30% in this sort of part of the taxiway.
Yeah, 2,000 feet on QNH 1015, 1015 it is.
And he already cleared us across the runway. So what we'll do as we get closer, and before we cross any runway, we'll turn on the strobe lights so that we are more visible to other airplanes.
With information micro goes in clearance to Gatwick.
Get time 422 the QNH 1015.
Okay, 1015, sorry about that.
Ligurian 134, push and start approved.
Push start approved, Ligurian 134.
And who was calling for clearance?
Nortrans 2899.
Nortrans 2899, information Mike with QNH1014. You're cleared to Gatwick via Lango 1 Alpha departure, squawk 4562.
I know you guys are more than familiar with VATSIM, but it still blows my mind that I'm sat here taxiing around like this with a controller and other airplanes. It's quite amazing. Yeah, brilliant. So we're now taxiing on Romeo. That's going to turn into Bravo. So make sure we come across here. There's a lot of taxiways there. Hopefully the Ryanair's going somewhere else.
Finnair 952, hold position please.
Oh, hold positions, Finnair 952.
Ryanair 38 Lima, Copenhagen.
We can hold position, the Ryanair.
Good. Yeah, please don't taxi onto another runway and taxiway without clearance. But continue now straight ahead, then Victor, all the way, left turn to Whiskey, your stand is Foxtrot 1.
Sorry for that,
yeah, he's come through Bravo, so we'll wait for him to clear and then we can go through Bravo.
Yeah, we can make it actually via Victor, Sierra, and then Whiskey for Foxtrot 1, that's shorter.
Yeah, looks better. Victor, Sierra, the Whiskey for the Ryanair 30.
While I'm here,
Nortrans 3309,
I can do some flight control checks without moving. Makes life a bit easier.
Nortrans 3309.
Cargo log 6993, leaving controlled airspace, you may leave the frequency. Go after.
Leaving airspace and Unicorn 128, cargo log 6993, thanks for check, so far.
Let's do that. Check all these. That should be on transponder. I should have put that to mode Charlie already. That's my mistake.
Ready for taxi.
Don't need the radar for departure, but I have the wood shit on.
Finnair 952, continue now taxi again via Romeo Bravo, cross runway 30.
And we check our departure. So we got climb the blue 152. I think I missed my call sign again. It's getting bad at that.
Finnair 952, continue taxi again.
Continue taxi, Finnair 952.
Jet time 422, turn left
Okay,
350.
Give the camera crew their ding at this point as well. It's all clear. All around. There's that Ryanair going the other way. So we're going to go along and then right through Bravo.
Bravo.
That's what you get for trying to do too many things on your own. You miss all the radio calls. And I must confess, Finnair is not my usual call sign, so I have to work hard to listen out for it and to pay more attention. So here we are, Bravo. We would check the TCAS very carefully, although it's not actually on at the moment as we're taxiing out. Let's put that to TARA. And I'm going to turn on the strobe lights. And then have a good look around to make sure no one else is coming or using this runway.
Lufthansa 4 Papa Hotel, it's a bit of a tricky turn there, but I think you made it onto Alpha instead. So if you can make the next left on Delta and then right again on Charlie, you're back on track.
So he's going to go
next left on Delta and then right on Charlie.
Charlie. So he's going to come back somewhere like this.
Jet time 422, turn left heading 29.
I think we're ahead of him.
Approach runway 26 right.
Okay, let's just check there's no other checklists for us to do. So done that, done that.
Ligurian 134, taxi to holding point runway 04 right, via taxi base Romeo and Bravo, cross runway 30.
Last thing, takeoff config. There we go, all green. And just not required for this takeoff. It's a dry runway.
Captain Gagan Control, good evening. Readings 205.
Drift too far off the centre line.
Inbound Lagoon.
So now I'm expecting to go straight ahead all the way to Bravo 1. Turn off those strobe lights now off the runway.
Squawk 5132.
Papa Golf Papa 341, can you make the right turn onto Delta?
Copy. Turning right to Delta Boulevard.
341 right turn Delta, then cross runway 30. Continue via Charlie and Bravo to the holding point.
I can see now that instead of actually starting the chrono, if you do one click it starts, another click it pauses, another click to reset. So I can see that I actually reset it. That we pushed back quite a while ago. Didn't manage to do that either. Doing terribly with the clocks today.
Lima, arrival, runway
Normally we
03.
should run that, so let's get that going now. So you just set it to run and it just starts.
Macro 4 Lima,
It's behaved like a stopwatch really, it just keeps running.
Descent.
So
To
we've got
05,
our
descent flight
SID,
level
we've got
130.
our clearance,
Descent for level
we
1.
know where we're going from, there's not a lot else to do really.
205.
I'll make it 130.
Next stage will be to
Level
line up
130 for Inns 205.
and
422 for established.
set the last of the lights and go for our takeoff, and off we go to Helsinki, hopefully for the event.
Clear to land 265, clear time 422.
Gastov Tower, good aften. Scanning 1474 plane.
Bravo 3 on our left,
Mike on
so
board
let's go
with
to the correct
Avatar.
charts. We're heading down, we want Bravo 2 or Bravo 1. In real life, you are very aware of which runway you're taking off, which intersection you're using, whether it's Bravo 3, Bravo 2, Bravo 1. Your performance figures will very clearly, you'll need to know which one you've got performance from. You can't just make it up. We only get given in the ToLiss one set of numbers. I'm assuming that's the full length figures, so I'll go for Bravo 1. Air traffic didn't tell us otherwise, so you can see it's clear. The NOTAMs might say somewhere sharp, that sort of thing.
You're cleared direct to Makua.
But it looks all open.
Direct Makur for Inns 205.
So 23 knots.
952, wind 020 degrees and 9 knots, runway 04 right, cleared for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff 04 right, Finnair 952. There we go, already taking off. All clear for takeoff, so let's slow it down for the turn.
Nortrans 330 head on and localize established 04 right.
Nortrans 3309, continue as number 1.
Continue number 1, Nortrans 330 head on.
So there's someone on approach to 04 right, but that's fine.
Scanning 1471, quick push and start from
It's all clear, clear on the TCAS.
1471, push and start approved.
Let's get the lights on. Packs will be on for this takeoff. Hat on. Okay, so we cleared us to go. We've got someone on approach, so we'll go for a rolling takeoff. This is where it gets really tricky. I'm not sure. We won't bother with that one for now.
Lufthansa 4 Papa Hotel, are you ready by Bravo 3?
Lufthansa 4 Papa Hotel F1.
Lufthansa 4 Papa
Right,
Hotel,
so
taxi holding point Bravo 3.
Gentlemen, then there's the steering. Start the timer. There you go, they got the immediate
Lufthansa 4 Papa Hotel.
half side stick.
Bravo
Set the
3
thrust to
and
50%.
we are ready. Lufthansa 4
Take
Papa
off. Man, flex 39, SRS runway, order thrust is blue. Feel that breeze from the left, trying to push the airplane left. 100 knots, neutral stick.
Lining up runway 04 right, Lufthansa 4 Papa Hotel.
Nortrans 3309, reduce to final approach speed. Nortrans 3309, reduce to final approach.
And rotate.
Reducing Nortrans 330
Positive climb, gear up.
Lufthansa 4 Papa Hotel, the wind is 020 degrees and 9 knots, runway 04 right, cleared
And
for
into
takeoff.
nav mode.
Runway 04 right, cleared for takeoff, Lufthansa 4
Oh,
Papa
bit of a
Hotel.
wind shift there. Going below our target speed.
Copenhagen Control, good evening. Sabre Air 240 with you, flight level 380.
That's autopilot 1
Cyber
engaged.
240, Copenhagen identified.
Leave a climb. So let's bring that back. One click to climb, thrust line climb, auto thrust, autopilot 1.
Taxiway 08 right and taxiway Charlie, stand number 4.
It looks a bit turbulent today. Getting some wind fluctuations.
Vacating left and via 08 right and to stand number 4, descent boost.
Airspeed is 210 knots, so we'll see that the flaps are going to auto retract now as we pass through 210. There they go. That gives us a higher margin on the speed. High speed approved for Finnair 952, and sorry, say again the rest.
And climb flight level 190.
Climb flight level 190 Finnair 952, thank you.
Nortrans 3309.
Okay, there's the flaps to 0. He's cleared us up to 190. I've retracted the flaps.
Clear to land, set up for
We're going to set standard, clear us to a flight level, and now that gives us out blue, flight level 190. We're clean now, so we'll disarm the ground spoilers, no longer need those. turn off the taxi. And away we go. You can see on our navigation display there's a little dot showing us when the airplane is going to accelerate from 250 knots up to its climb speed. On our MCDU performance, I hope that wasn't for me again. I'm going to be in big trouble.
First Lufthansa 4 Papa Hotel is identified, turn right heading 180 and climb to flight
temperature 11 degrees, it's going to get colder as we continue to climb, so we'll put the engine anti-ice off.
Right heading 180, climbing flight level 190, Lufthansa 4 Papa Hotel.
Scandinavian 1474, taxi.
And we'll stop the timer as we are already at climb thrust. Doesn't sound like that call was for us, so that's good. Correct to us. And here we are, out to Kemax.
3 wings 205, contact swing control.
Beautiful evening. Out over the water.
127.75 for control.
We can turn off the engine anti-ice, we're in clear air now.
Finnair 952, contact swing control 127.750, good night.
127.750, Finnair 952, thank you, good night. Excellent, so there's another controller, so let's go to that one. 127.75. And that was Sweden.
Last station calling, say again, you were broken. Transavia 056, Sweden control, hello, identified, confirm requested level.
This is really great, the way the lighting bounces off the displays, it's very accurate. In real life this can be an issue where the sun shines off some of the screens. These newer screens are much better. The older cathode ray tube style screens, the curved glass, they're a bit more prone to this. The flat screens, it does tend to always shine nice and bright for us. So through flight level 100, accelerating. Let's retract the landing lights. Release the passengers, nice smooth air now. I'm going to go to airports so I can see which airports are nearby, especially as they're in part of the world I'm less familiar with. And looks reasonable, climbing up to flight level 350 is our expected cruise. Let's see if I can talk to air traffic. Sweden, good evening, Finnair 952. Hello, we are climbing flight level 1902 Kemax.
Finnair 952, Sweden control identified, climb flight level 210.
Climb flight level 210, requesting flight level 350 to cruise, Finnair 952.
Request is copied, thank you, break, Suburban 205.
210 there is, and we have out blue flight level 210. And off we go. Just going to turn down the sound of the ToLiss. It is accurate, it is pretty loud in the airplanes. You normally have a noise cancelling headset of some sort. But this just makes it easier for me to talk to you guys. Great, so away we go. So we can see here, I haven't talked about this much in other videos, we have a blue arrow, which is where we expect to level off at flight level 210. And if we increase that, that arrow will move further.
Scandinavian 046.
In the real airplane, it works in vertical speed, and also in heading, it will show you where you're going to level off on your current heading or level in the descent. It doesn't always seem to work in this airplane at the moment, but I believe it's being worked on.
Finnair 780 Papa, report speed restriction to Helsinki control 121.3, bye-bye.
Report speed restriction.
Aha, another Finnair. Sounds like they might have come from the same place, in which case we're probably following them. I've made up the flight number and call sign today, so I suspect they're correct and I'm wrong.
Passing flight number 240.
Russia 77 Sweden control radar contact climb flight level 330.
330, Russia 77.
Sweden control, good evening, Speedbird 234 with you, flight level approaching 340.
Speedbird 234 Sweden control identified, climb flight level 340.
Flight level 340, thanks, Speedbird 234.
Finnair 9052, climb flight level 350.
Thank you, climb flight level 350, Finnair 952. Okay, we're
Scandinavian
350.
2211, are you with me?
350. Happily 350. Okay, great.
Scandinavian 211, Sweden
Something I'd like to talk about now is the cost index. So the cost index we've got today, cost index 5, is quite a low cost index. So it's quite efficient, it's quite slow speeds. If I was to put in cost index 0, and I can type it in here in the climb phase, 0, our speed will start to reduce. In the real airplane, it just recalculates and changes instantly, but I guess that could change depending on which airplane. And you'll see it's come back slightly, 283, and that will be slightly more efficient, slightly slower speeds. You'll also notice, if I bring up the flight plan page, that these numbers change, so it's recalculating. So if we do our flight at cost index 0 now, in a second, it should bring up the numbers.
5000 feet, QNH 1013, rings 205. Scandinavian 1716, report your speed restriction to Helsinki control 121.3.
It's taking quite a while. I wonder if it won't manage without an arrival. Let's have a look. I'm not sure what runway they're on, I'll just type in any runway. I do know my rough arrival. We're coming in by D-Van. There you go. So that fuel figure changes slightly, 4.6. Okay, right, so it should have been able to work that out even without the complete route, but no matter. And I can do this on the other MCDU.
Can you read that back for
So
me?
it's currently 0, and we have 1838 with 4.6 tons. If I change that to 50, which is faster, I think we'll get there faster with less fuel. And as that speed increases,
sorry,
the plane tries to accelerate, and that time starts to come down, but we also burn a little extra fuel.
Thank you.
That's a ridiculously fast speed to be climbing at, to be honest. It'll be a very long climb. So I'm going to try cost index 25. And that looks like it's going back to something more reasonable to climb. So that's some of the things the cost index does. It works the same in the cruise and the descent, and you can just change it at any time.
Roger 340, we'll keep an eye on the traffic. Roger 77.
Russia 7.
Something else we can see, I know we aren't leveled off in the climb, but there we go, there's our level off and there's our start of descent marker. And I can see here on the cruise page, so if I go to performance, next phase, cruise, we can see the top of descent, so 2 top of descent at the current speed, 1813 UTC, so half an hour from now in 255 miles.
Scandinavian 164, climb flight level 350.
Something else to talk about in the Airbus 321 is or all Airbus short aircraft, is this page here on the progress page. It shows us the recommended maximum flight level. So maximum 373, and we're climbing up to 350, so that's fine. Optimum is 354, so that means we're going to a good flight level. I wouldn't want to climb to 370, it's very close to the maximum. So what you find is that the difference between our maximum speed and our minimum speed are very small. So if you go through any turbulence, you could find yourself overspeeding or getting slow. So it's good to give it a little bit of space, although you can fly there, it's perfectly smooth there. You could go up to 370, but we couldn't go to 380, obviously. There wouldn't be enough margin in those speeds. This depends on your weight and the conditions on the day, this sort of thing. So here we are within 1,000 feet to go now. quite a gradual rate of climb, but to be honest, in a heavy-ish 321 up at these light levels, it's quite possible. This is a normal rate of climb. Quite strong winds as well, even a slight tailwind. So as we climbed, we've lost a little bit of energy into this tailwind.
When ready, descend flight level 290, Scandinavian 046.
Prince 205, stand 13, departure back east up. Thanks a lot for your control. Have a nice evening.
Thank you, goodbye.
As we can see, this has coincided with our blue arrow for level off as well. Very useful if air traffic gives you a restriction. So I'm expecting it to go out star cruise and Mac out star, and now that changed to out cruise once it's fully captured. Out cruise, there we go. A few things we would do in real life, certainly pilot monitoring would go off and do some things. You want to check your fuel isn't leaking. There's a few ways of doing that, but a quick check I can do now is if I see we've burnt 2.1 tons of fuel in total. So with the fuel we have left, 5 plus 2.1, that is about 8 tons, which is what we know we set off. We can also go through our systems pages. So if I have a look here, I'll move that out of the way, and we click down here and just check that everything seems to be normal and where we expect it. So no vibration creeping up, anything like that. The Airbus will warn us if there's anything out of limits, but this is still a good check to give yourself some sort of awareness if something is on the way. But all looks sensible. Cabin altitude won't go above really 8,000 feet, but there we go. We're only at 350, so it doesn't have to be that high.
Sweden control, god kväll. Scandinavian 046, flight level 305 for flight level 290.
AGC.
Scandinavian
Some
046,
people have
still with you,
quite
try 118.4.
loud audio. Oh, maybe not.
Roger, Scandinavian 046.
Fuel APU is obviously off. That's normally amber crosses in my experience. It doesn't register anything because the power's been removed from it. Here's the cabin temperatures. Yeah, reasonable 22 would be what most people and passengers would like. Great, everything looking as expected. So yeah, we'd do some time checks, some fuel checks, that sort of thing. What I'm going to do is start preparing for our approach because I'm going to have to do it myself without help from another pilot. So I can see now it's quite breezy in Helsinki. They've had some showers of rain and some cumulonimbus. So I'm going to turn on the weather radar so I don't forget for later. I know it doesn't do much in this, but let's put it to weather plus turbulence. Weather radar on. Wind shear is British wind shear is on. Good. That's well within our limits. Obviously 22 knots, 12 gusting 22. So that means probably landing on the 2-2s. That's about 80 degrees off, so a crosswind from the right. And I would hope 2-2 left. If you look on the airport chart, if you land 2-2 left, that'll be nearest to the terminal. 2-2 left and hopefully off. And I'm not sure where that park is actually, so we'll find out.
Transfer 056, thank you.
I will get the ATIS later, but now for now I'm going to put in the runway as I have the wrong one in. So it's starting our hatch really. ILS 22 left.
Transfer 056, contact Sweden.
Our flight plan was via DVAM 2 Whiskey, but that was for the wrong runway. So there we go. That's inserted. And if I look on here, plan, and zoom in, insert. So what has it given us?
Ligurian 134, when ready descent, flight level 250. 250, Ligurian 134.
Huh. Doesn't look quite right. Let's try something different. We are flying via DVAM. Let's see if we can find the correct arrival. So that's going to take us downwind and then off on a vector. And for some reason it has us going via Raleigh. So the vector makes sense. Let's have a look at what we should expect to do. So I'll go to arrivals and we have a DVAM 3 Alpha. Nope, not that one. So Pexton, Hotel Kilo 804, Bemi Cannon, and then off on the vector. After that, an approach onto ILS 22 left.
Scandinavian 164, when ready descent, flight level 290.
VFX 6Z, so that's what these points are.
When
So that makes sense.
290, Scandinavian 164.
What I'm not sure is
Ryanair 832.
where Rolly and Podon would appear from, so I'm going to clear those out. I may be doing something wrong here. As I said, this is not official. This is just me trying to make myself fit into the VATSIM world without messing it up too much. So now that got us. I know that the brief for this airport on VATSIM told us to head off on a vector, which is not unusual, and then wait for air traffic control to bring us back round to BFX and onto the island. So that makes more sense now. So we have our arrival. Radnab, it's 110.3. That will change as we get closer. We'll check it.
Scandinavian 164, contact Sweden.
We've got nice low altitude restrictions as we get closer to the Helsinki VOR, which is based at the airport. It's 2,200 feet. So anything below 2,200 feet, we'll make sure we have a reason to be going that low. Hopefully we'll be visual, but there could be some weather around that we might to avoid. So making sure you know where the terrain is very important, especially as workload could be higher later. The go around, we go straight ahead to 2.5 miles, then left turn onto 185. Check that in the flight plan.
Runway 832 Whiskey, contact Warsaw radar 125.
Heading 185, there it is. Climb to 2,000 feet, so quite a low level up for that.
Warsaw radar 1.
Echo Foxtrot Hotel Kilo 22 left in the progress page. GPS primary accuracy high, so our navigation is all working for us. Performance. Let's load in. I'm going to load in this weather before I get the ATIS. So let's just make sure it's up to date. So 30012. I won't type in the gust. Let's just type in the normal wind there. Temperature is 4 QNH 999, so a low QNH. So yeah, quite a rough windy evening in Helsinki for their event. Great. It's going to be a flat pod landing. I think that'll be easier to control on final approach. Although there's some different limitations and so on, and if it's a wind sheary sort of day, you might consider a flat 3, so the airplane has more energy. But today, I think that's fine. And MDA for our ILS of 349. Great. Fuel prediction: we are arriving with extra fuel, as we know, and we got our alternate fuel already in there. Secondary, I'm going to copy the active, and I'm pretty confident on that runway choice for now of 22 left. So we can recheck now. Performance page, top of descent is 1817, 170 miles to go. Excellent. Strong winds up here. That would be pretty much a jet stream, 100 knots. You see that on your charts. I wonder if our charts did include that actually. We can find out, or our briefing pack.
Ligurian 134, contact Norway Control 118875, bye-bye. 118875,
that's our route. And there it is. So we can see our jet stream. It's below us, 250, so we're good to be up here, but we may get some turbulence obviously crossing it. And that shows it at 110 knots. Each solid triangle is 100, and then a little dash. Well, it could be 105 knots actually. Not sure. But yeah, so we are crossing a jet stream. Makes sense. Excellent. Very clever. Yeah, I'm impressed again, as always with this. We may even have air traffic coverage all the way to Helsinki. What I'd also do is put the TKs if it's possible from here without engaging the flaps. Let's do it like this to make sure we get it right. Go down to below so we can see beneath us in case we want to descend suddenly. Great, so there's not a whole lot else for us to do except get the ATIS as we get closer. I've got it tuned on VHF2, but it's a bit weak at the moment, so we'll get that later.
Just amend your flight plan to reach from Stockholm to Göteborg, is that correct?
Okay, one of the last things I'll do, we'd obviously have checked our performance for the weather and so on in Helsinki. I want to go for a medium auto brake flat full landing. Without weather around, I don't want to be hanging around on the runway. Okay, let's hopefully try and get the 80s now. So let's listen to pitch shift 2. Great, so that was information Bravo for now. It was a bit quiet there, so you may not have heard it. What they've got is they're expecting the ILS 22 left, which is great. That's what we've got tuned in here by our arrival, so that's all looking good. Wind is 300 at 14, so it's quite breezy. 14 knots across. Just update that, 300 at 14. Temperature 4, so it's still very cold. And vicinity showers, scattered 3,000 feet, becoming CAV-OK, QNH 999. So this low pressure tells me why there's some of those showers around. And a bit of that breeze. But that's absolutely fine. Becoming CAV-OK, so it sounds like there's showers passing through, so we may have to dodge around them, but I don't know how well the simulator will do weather. I understand the weather radar isn't quite complete, shall we say.
Ligurian 74 Papa.
I have no idea if we will have to go to Unicom before going to Helsinki. I think we're reaching the edge of Swedish airspace at the moment. So we'll see. Not bad though, pretty good coverage for this flight, I think. Yeah, we're nearly at the edge. Hopefully I'll be able to tune straight into Helsinki and start getting our descent clearance from them. But we shall see.
Lufthansa 2421 for shortcut and deep traffic, turn left heading 220.
The fuel situation looking very reasonable. 4,900 kilograms. If we add on our 3 tons, so that's 5 plus 3, 8 tons, about as expected. It's all balanced in the correct tanks. In the room.
952, contact Helsinki Control 121.3, bye-bye.
121.3. Finnair 952, thank you, goodbye. There we go, sounding good. We're going to talk straight to Helsinki. 121.3. And let's have a word. Helsinki, good evening, Finnair 952, flight level 350 to Alami.
Good evening, Finnair 952, Helsinki Control, better contact, runway 22 left.
Runway 22 left, Finnair 952. Great, so that confirms our runway again, which is just what we wanted. Something we need to be aware of given the flight plan routing, so let's have a look through it.
When ready, descent to level 1.
Now we have to be very careful, lots of Finnair call signs, so make sure I don't miss it.
Sorry, when ready, descent flight level 100.
And we can see here, we expect to route to the south of the airport, downwind, and then off on this vector. So we need to be careful, because our track miles could be considerably less than that, than our 189. We're 151, so maybe 170, 180 miles to go, so it's not far off, but we won't expect to fly off on all of that vector. What I'm expecting is to be turned downwind somewhere, so we'll be ready for that. So let's see how the lighting works in this Airbus. Let's put on the dome light. Oh, there we go, yeah. Brilliant.
5672, for now, no ATC speed restrictions.
Have our approach
no speed restrictions, Finnair 5672, thank you.
Let's just make sure we haven't missed anything obvious about it. Airport elevation 180 feet. And if we go back to our cruise page on here, landing elevation 570. Interesting. EKCH-EFHK. Unusual. That is further out than I would expect it to be. Go to this chart, it might give us more clue. Maybe this chart. Yeah, elevation 150. How strange. Unless it's a considerable gradient runway. I'm not sure why that is. It could be whilst you're on QNH compared to standard. Not sure. But otherwise, in terms of limitations, 250 knots at Pexton. So there we go, 250 knots at Pexton, I can see. And if I keep scrolling through, flight 100 around Divam, that's just at 223, so we're going to be higher than that, but I'll wait and see. That's the minimum hold altitude there. Don't really want to be that low that far. It's a good idea. Oh, another speed limit, the VEMI 220. Let's just check we've got that in. There it is, 220. It's a good idea to have an idea where you want to be at each stage in the approach. I'm going to do another video on this another time. But something worth considering here would be a beam the airfield. I don't want to be too fast or too high. So I'm going to plan to be hopefully around 7,000 feet as a maximum and 250 knots as a maximum. From there, I think I'll be able to slow down if we need to, depending on how long the ILS is. So 7,000 feet, 250 knots next to beam the airfield. But you can change that depending on the weight of the airplane, where the wind is, things like that. But that's the current plan, and we'll think about it as we get closer.
952 cleared Divam 3 Alpha arrival, runway 22 left. When ready, descent to flight level 100. Finland 952, just static coming through, just took in one minute.
Apologies, Finland 952 cleared when ready to descend flight level 100, Divam 3 Alpha, runway 22 left.
Thank you.
That's embarrassing, my mic was muted. Anyway, he's cleared us down to flight level 100 when we fancy, so that's great, that's a long descent, so I can set that now, as I will set 100 in here, but I won't obviously do anything yet, so we've got 100 ready, and I can see it there, 100 blue. He's reconfirmed the runway and the arrival, Divam 3 Alpha, 22 left, so that's great. So, we'll wait it out, there's no point descending just yet, I don't want to be too low, or we'll just burn extra fuel and have to level off later on. I think this computed profile, let's compare it to the plan I just suggested. So if I go to plan, zoom in, I said a beam the airfield. So a beam the airfield is before Delta Hotel Kilo, Hotel Kilo 891. So Hotel Kilo 891 has got us 94250 knots. I think that's too high, so I'm going to lower that. So I can actually put in my own altitude constraint. If I click on the point, and I want to be there at 891, let's say flight level 70. Gives us an altitude error, I wonder why. Oh, I think that's possible. If I go to constraint, it might give me a better idea. 7,000 feet, 3,000 feet, 220. And that way our descent should now come at a more suitable point. So that fits in with the plan I had a bit better. There you go, so in 15 miles, so a bit closer. So that other descent was further along, which I don't think would have worked. It could have left us high. So now I'm going to use the Airbus's managed descent mode, which makes my life easier, now that I've checked it.
Contact with Union 4 Charlie Echo, climbing 280 inbound Ativo.
Good evening, Finland 4 Charlie Echo, Helsinki control, radar contact.
To prepare ourselves for the descent, I'm going to turn the lights off. We'd like to have it, lots of pilots would like to have it nice and dark, especially if you're doing a night or some evening landing like this. You don't want all the lights blinding you in the flight deck, obviously, just like driving your car at night. You wouldn't have all the lights on inside. So hopefully the weather is looking quite good in front of us. I'm going to turn off the terrain radar on this side. I'll put it on that side so that I've got the weather radar available to me if I need it. Okay, let's start our descent now. We're near our top of descent. We've been cleared down, so I'm going to go to 1 dot. And there we go, Mac Des 100 blue. If I look at my performance page, I'll see it wants me to descend at 300 knots, which is very reasonable, so I'm quite happy with that. we were just given a message on the VATSIM that they're asking people, just a polite reminder, not to transmit on top of each other on the frequencies. It does happen in real life on very busy frequencies and busy airspace. It's quite easy. You're supposed to wait when you change your frequency and just check that no one's transmitting before you start transmitting. But obviously every now and then you'll both wait, and then you'll, without realising, both transmit at the same time on top of each other. So it's always something you've got to be aware of, that your call can get missed, especially in busy airspace. These days we're slowly moving towards a system called CPDLC, where a lot of the messages can be sent to us through a little computer, a little display window here, and air traffic can send us messages and we can reply to them like that, instead of having to talk on a frequency, and that way there's less chance of us talking over each other. Well, 119.1, Finnair 952, goodbye.
Finnair 915, and the time to taxiway burn stand 4.
Stand 4, Finnair 9815.
119.1. Sounds like the controller's running the ground frequency as well. 191.
Finnair 5672, speed 220 knots.
Speed 220 knots, Finnair 5672.
Helsinki, good evening, Finnair 952 descending flight level 100 to DBAB.
Finnair 952, Helsinki radar air contact, runway 22 left.
Expect 22 left, we're at A321 QNH of 999. I should have really said 999 hectopascals. Once it goes below 1,000, you're supposed to say 999 hectopascals. Although actually, technically, I don't have to tell him the QNH at this point, because he'll tell me when we get cleared down to an altitude. I probably should have told him the information. As I say, talking on VATSIM still seems to make me slightly nervous. Starting to get dark in the flight deck. If you find in your Airbus, ToLiss Airbus, that the centre panel is lit up, it'll probably be this floodlight. It seems to be defaulted to on. And it looks like that. It's this light up here.
Question 253 hotel.
So in real life, it tends to have that off or very low.
109.9 North Shuttle to Fletcher Hotel, bye-bye.
Maybe I'll have it low today, just so I can see those
Ryanair 9942.
flaps and speed brakes clearly.
To 5,000 feet, good night, triple matter.
It looks like we're doing pretty well for our profile, 20,000 feet.
Finnair 82, Mike Papa contact Helsinki arrival 119.9.
50 miles to go. We need 60 miles, but we are going to fly a slightly longer routing than straight to the threshold, because we're going to go past the airport. Back on the other side,
turn
so
right
that's
heading
fine.
080.
Here's our deceleration point for the speed limit, so it goes to speed to 50 knots, as we would expect. And you can see that the computer already had that planned in, so which is why it's showing this. We're still staying on profile even though we aren't descending. It already knew about the speed limit.
Siberia 3565 has cleared out radar contact, climb to flight level 280. Finnair 9052, speed 250 knots.
250 knots, Finnair 952, we are doing.
And Finnair 5 Kilo Alpha, turn right heading 180.
So let's just recheck where we are on our charts. This is great that we can see our little moving airplanes, so that'll take us in and downwind. We're looking like we're on profile there. And just to remind ourselves, with our medium auto brake,
Finnair 5672, descend to 5,000 feet, QNH triple manner.
5,000 feet and QNH 999
I think Zulu Hotel, the first high speed we see, could be possible. If not, we'll go for Zulu Juliet. So I have those ready.
Siberia 365,
after those, Zulu Hotel, Zulu Juliet. We need to be careful and find out for air traffic where they want us to park.
Ryanair 942, turn left heading 130.
Left 130.
Looks like the weather hasn't materialised to be too bad actually. Can't see any thunderstorms, certainly nothing on the radar.
Finnair 5 Kilo Alpha, turn right heading 220.
It would make sense, I guess, it being so busy that we've got had to reduce the speed. Those speed restrictions, if sometimes you're able to go faster if you ask air traffic control, or they may tell you.
Helsinki radar, Lima November, Sierra Lima on the November, passing 1,900.
Finnair 952, speed 220 knots and descend to flight level 70.
220 knots, descend flight level 70, Finnair 952. Okay, I'm going to do the flight level first. Flight level 70, we're cleared down to, and he wants us at 220 knots, so...
Finnair 952, just confirm speed 220 knots.
220 knots, Finnair 952. 220 knots. And we're going to pull that.
Scandinavian 557,
Minus
for
3
now
open
we
descent.
have flight level 120 confirmed.
Open descent and
Scandinavian 557, you can
there it is.
continue descent to flight level 70, speed 250 knots.
So the risk now, because we've slowed down on the speed, you'll see that we're getting it high on the profile. So the airplane wants us to be slightly lower. It's okay for now, but in the real airplane, we wouldn't be able to use the speed brakes because VLS is so close. So things can start to get tricky. The way forwards would be to put out flap 1, and then we could use the speed brakes because the VLS will go below us.
050.
Right 050, right 942.
So let's see what happens. I'm not sure. It does sound quite busy, so I don't know if
And Finnair 5 Kilo Alpha, continue
it would be okay to be a
your
little bit
left
high.
heading,
The one good
050.
thing is, if we have the speed back already, then we don't have to do that later,
And
so
Finnair
that
5 Kilo
helps us
Alpha, you
a
can now
little bit
contact
with the
arrival
habits.
on 119.9.
Arrival.
Still can't see any weather. May go through these clouds. It is cold out there, so to below 10 degrees, so I would need to put the anti-ice on. I think I'll do that now, as it's looking like we'll go through it. So that's
010, expect
on.
vectors for the ILS.
There's engine anti-ice there.
Scandinavian 557, right 010.
Finnair 952, descent 5,000 feet, QNH 999.
Descend 5,000 feet, QNH 999 hectopascals, Finnair 952. Okay,
Lima Echo Lima, you can
5,000
now
feet,
contact Helsinki on 121.3.
QNH
Bye-bye.
of 999.
Helsinki 121.3, bye-bye, Lima November Sierra.
And there we go. Sending to altitude 5,000 feet blue.
And with you flight level 220 Scandinavian 689.
Scandinavian 689, contact Helsinki 121.3.
So we're getting towards our 10,000 feet.
I'm
I'm going to run the checks now in case it gets busier. So let's put on our push buttons so we can see the ILS. Check that we have all the right data here. So GPS primary accuracy high, that's working. And expecting
Ryanair
Hotel
992,
Kilo.
turn right heading 080.
Right 050.
Hotel Kilo 1103, course 218, 219, close enough because we're going to use the radio nav aid from the ground anyway. And we've checked our terrain. And we can just check, worth checking as well, that we have the distance. Is the DME co-located? So 0.2 on the Hotel Kilo looks to be very close to the altitude. To the distance to the threshold, so that seems to be reasonable. It could be that the DME is based off something different. So you need to be aware of that, because you could be closer or further than the DME tells you. Just say minimum 150 until 4 miles from the touchdown zone. So that means we'll have to do 150 knots to 4. If we look at our approach speed, it's going to be 145 anyway, so that won't affect us because we're going to be within 5 knots of that speed target as it is, even when we're fully configured. And now,
Finnair 952, contact arrival on 119.9.
119.9, Finnair 952, bye. 119.9. Maybe arrivals who would like the traffic. But there we go, we can see Helsinki out there, and we're heading on that runway. Right, let's focus on the flying. So we're passing a beam in the airfield. I said 7,000 feet, 250 knots. We're slightly high, 8,000 feet, but we're slightly slower, so we have a little bit of space. I'm just going to put the speed breaker out for now. Like I say, in the real airplane that would be tricky, but at the moment the ToLiss doesn't do the VLS. I believe that's coming. Arrival Finnair 952, descending altitude 5,000 feet, connection 909 hectopascals.
Tervehdys Finnair 952, continue descent 4,000 feet.
Continue descent 4,000 feet, Finnair 952.
Finnair 5672.
Okay, 4,000 feet, there we go.
3,000 feet.
And it's in here.
3,000 feet, Finnair
5672. So I'm using the speed brake,
567 speed
thrust
180
idle,
knots.
and now we're getting slightly below the profile.
Speed 180 knots.
7,000 feet, beam at 220. I think we're in a good place, so I'm going to retract the speed
Logan
brakes.
221, clear Dallas approach 22 left.
Clear the approach to the left, 11.
Ryanair 9942, descend to 4,000 feet.
Descending 4,000 feet, Ryanair 9942.
Ryanair 9942, speed 190.
I'm not sure what this message means. I've not actually seen it. I imagine this aeroplane is fitted with an ice detector. A lot of Airbuses don't have that, so you just look out on this little spigot here to see if there is any ice on the airframe.
Left heading to
The engine anti-ice you put out anyway, but if you see ice here, you would put on the wing anti-ice.
Scandinavian 557, approaching 5,000. Very good afternoon, Scandinavian 557. Continue descent 4,000 feet. Descending 4,000 feet, Scandinavian 557.
Finnair 562 confirm heading 260.
Station calling, was it Finnair 5672, heading 260 and clear Dallas approach to the left.
Roger, thank you. Clear Dallas approach to the left. Finnair 562.
Finnair 952, descend to 4,000, correction, 3,000 feet.
Descend to 3,000 feet, Finnair 952. There we go, we got 3,000.
Finnair 952, speed 180 knots.
180 knots, Finnair 952. And he wants 180 knots. So we'll stay in open descent, bring the speed back to 180. Like that. Now I'm going to put out flap 1.
Roger.
Below the speed marker, flap 1. And because this is quite a reasonable weight, 72 ton, I'm actually going to put out flap 2. We can fly slower than the green speed, but it's not always recommended, especially in turbulence or doing turns.
And negative, you are not cleared, but follow heading 120.
I'm just going to make sure we have enough distance for the overspeed marker to make sure that we don't accidentally, in this turbulence, because you can see a little bit bumpy outside. Okay, there's flap 2. That'll bring out a lot of drag and the aeroplane will start to descend quite quickly. So I'm going to select the vertical speed.
160 to 5 miles, 108.6 next
We'll do 800 feet per minute for now. Beautiful, beautiful evening. Well, I wonder if it's possible to turn the brightness down. I think if I do that, that helps. There we go.
Scandinavian 557, speed 200.
So we'll be looking out for any ice as we fly through this cloud.
Scandinavian 557.
Still no weather, which is great. I think we're pretty
Finnair 562,
okay for the profile. It's 14 miles behind us and we're at 4,000 feet. We need 12 miles from here even if we went straight in. So I'm going to do 500 feet per minute for now.
8 miles final, contact tower 108.
I'm trying not to level off. It looks like it probably will happen. You can't always judge it.
And contact tower on
It's obviously more efficient if we don't have to level off because we don't have to spool up the engines as much. But sometimes when it's busy you can't predict exactly how many miles you have to fly.
Finnair 952, turn left heading 310.
Left heading 310, Finnair 9052. Okay, so here's our turn onto base leg, getting ready for the approach, heading 310 and pull. Vertical speed heading. We're within 1,000 feet to go of 3,000, and that's above the MSA. We said that we didn't want to go below 2,200 initially.
Scandinavian 557, turn right heading 060. Right 060, Scandinavian 557.
I'm going to sequence flight plan now, so I don't want, I'm not going to fly to any further on this point. I want to be going to BIFIX. So I'm going to do a radial in at BIFIX. So I do the reciprocal of the 218, which is obviously 038. My maths is very slow. There we go, 038 radial in. That's not quite worked. Why hasn't that worked? Because I've got to do it from BIFIX 038. There we go, straight line out, insert. And now I need to hold the heading and clear that out. So there we go. So BIFIX is now the next waypoint, so the airplane knows where we're flying to. And now it has an accurate judgment of the height.
Finnair 952, turn left heading 250, cleared ILS 22 left.
Left heading 250, cleared ILS 22 left, Finnair 952. Heading 250, there it is. Oh, looks like we're flying into some snow or rain. Wow, brilliant, that's a great effect.
Scandinavian
It's
557.
really good actually. It looks just like that if you fly through snow in real life. Oh, I should have given the passengers 10 minutes. There you go, I forgot that one. So that goes on, and we are cleared for the approach. So we've leveled off and out. We've got glide slope and localizer armed, and we're 15 miles out. So we should expect to intercept around about 9 miles. Probably the ToLiss waypoint, which I can see here. Platform at ToLiss, there we go, 3,000 feet. Checking for any ice. I'm just going to put on the wing anti-ice in case there was some in there. Keeping the engine anti-ice on, as it's quite chilly, 3 degrees outside. For now, I'm happy to fly 180 knots. We have the flap already out. By 6 miles, I'll have to slow down. If I'm still doing 180 knots at 6 miles, I'll probably configure the airplane for landing there. Back onto some snow. Oh, beautiful. And out into the clear skies beneath. Localizer star, lock star, there we go. Turning onto final approach.
Scandinavian 557, descent 3,000 feet.
Turn off the wing anti-ice now. If you have all the anti-ice on, the engines can't idle. The idle point of the engines when you have idle thrust is slightly higher, which can make it harder to slow down if you're fast, because the thrust can't come back as much as it can when it's not on. It takes quite a lot of power from the engine to provide the hot air for the anti-ice, so the engines can't go to quite as low a power setting. So descending in about 2.5 miles, looking like where we want to be. Let's cheat, let's have a look outside. I do enjoy that. There we go, lovely. We're now on approach. And we can see out the front, 22 left, and that is 22 right.
Scandinavian 557, speed 180 knots.
Houston 180, Scandinavian 557.
Finnair 952, free speed, contact tower 118.6.
Free speed 1186, Finnair 952, thank you, goodbye.
Goodbye.
Okay, 1186, let's do that. Done that wrong. There's glide slope star, shouldn't get distracted from doing that while I'm doing the radios. There's 1186, sensible point for the intercept as expected. There's the radio altimeter, 7.5 miles, 2,500 feet, so that means pretty much where we wanted it. He said free speed, so I'm going to reduce the speed now to 160 knots. In fact, I'm just going to manage the speed. The approach is activated automatically because we've flown through the points it expected. Also, we're going to check the going altitude is entered properly, which was 2,000 feet, so now I can arm that on here, 2,000. Let's contact tower. Tower Finnair 952, ILS 22 left, 6 miles.
Finnair 952, Helsinki Tower, good evening, continue approach number 2.
Continue approach, Finnair 952. Okay, so let's start configuring. Geared out, flat 3, we can arm the spoilers.
942, Helsinki Tower, good evening, continue approach number 3.
Put on the last of the lights. Flat full. Ding the cabin crew. Don't need the engine. Actually, I'm going to leave the engine anti-ice on. It seems to be raining every now and then.
Scandinavian 5 Mike Delta.
Here we go, fully configured. We've got our ECAB memo. Cabin crew ready. Just waiting for landing clearance.
Finnair 5672, contact Helsinki ground on 121.8.
121.8, hyvä ilta.
There we go. A bit of more rain, that's why we left that anti-ice on.
Wind 270 degrees and 900 knots, cleared to land runway 22 left.
Little land 22 left, Finnair 952. Excellent. Light wind from the right, so the worst of that weather seems to have passed through. We are clear to land. I'm going to remind myself of that. Your marker in the MCDU. 1000, we are stable and we're visual with the runway. Let's disconnect the autopilot and hand fly final approach. Absolutely amazing graphics, even with the little cars. I'm really impressed with this. Autopilot off. Does feel a little bit of turbulence.
Runway 9942, expect late landing.
Expecting a late landing clearance, runway 9942.
Oh, I wonder if that means we need to get off the runway. We won't worry about it. We'll do what's safest for us, and it's up to air traffic control to coordinate these things. We just make sure we don't waste time on the runway. Especially if it's been snowing, you want to be very careful that you're at the right speed for vacating. So just starting a little bit high, we've got that third right, so we're just visually correct, sensible rate of descent.
Helsinki Tower, good afternoon. Scandinavian 557, you inbound island.
Start the flare, idle thrust, move the drift.
557, Helsinki Tower, good evening, continue approach number 3.
Continue approach number 3, Scandinavian 557.
And there's reverse idle. Medium auto brake, make sure we actually stay on the centre line. I do find it difficult to use the rudder in this simulator. And those medium auto brakes taking us to the first exit as we hoped, so I'm going to disconnect that. We're down at taxi speed, so we can go to reverse idle and let's vacate. I wouldn't like to see a sign in the middle of the taxiway like that. Start slowing down.
Runway 9942, clear to land runway 22 left, wind is 270 degrees, 9 knots.
Flight line runway 22 left, runway 9942.
Okay, we'll get ourselves off the runway and then we'll talk to the ground frequency. I really don't know which way they want us to go, so let's bring it to a stop. Set the brake and 118.125. I'll just check which frequency they are using here. 1218. It could be an automatic change over here, so let's do that.
1 taxi Delta Echo, Yankee, to stand 204.
204, let's go.
Ground Finnair 952 vacated.
Finnair 952, taxi Zulu, Alpha Delta, to stand 23.
Zulu Alpha Delta stand 23, Finnair 952. Right.
No transport to 88, request taxi.
No transport to 88, taxi Delta Echo, Yankee, hold short, runway 22 left on Yankee.
Delta Echo, Yankee, hold short 22 left, no transport to 88.
Where on earth is Alpha Delta? See, this is where
Aeroflot 2201.
being more familiar with the airport would have helped.
Ready.
Zulu Alpha Delta, so we need to go left. Great, let's get out of the way.
Moscow, Arvet to November departure, out of runway 22 right, squawk 2617.
There's the Ryanair behind us.
UNH is 999 and information John. Working runway 22 right, Arvet
Yep.
November.
Let's make sure we get out the way for him.
2617, UNH 999, information Charlie, Aeroflot
And now, to make sure we don't blind all the other pilots, turn the strobe lights and the landing lights off. We don't need those.
Helsinki ground, easy 455.
Just use the taxi and the landing. So now we're following Zulu to Alpha Delta, which is further along here.
Easy
Do the spoilers.
455.
Speed brakes in.
Start and push back approach.
Go to transponder.
Facing
southwest.
Turn off the radar.
Student pushback approved
Don't need that anymore. And I'm going to start up the APU ready for our parking on stand.
Finnair 1035, stand 25, information Charlie, request clearance to Amsterdam.
Great. Zulu Alpha Delta, and he said stand 23. So I can see that. So it'd be along here and then right Alpha Deltas to 23. Perfect.
No transport to 88, contact tower.
Again, I'll have it. Enjoy the view outside for a minute.
Alright, there's no
Part of the
transport
fun.
to Mama.
Lima November 29 Charlie, holding short of Zulu. Oh, Lima November 29 Charlie, sorry, my mistake. Continue taxi via Zulu to Zulu Golf, hold short runway 2 to left.
Okay, we've got an airplane crossing in front of us. That's Alpha Victor.
Hold short of to the left, Lima November 29 Charlie.
Helsinki ground, Finnair 1545 at gate 26, request clearance to Brussels with information Charlie.
Finnair 1545, number 2 in clearance, step 5.
Victor Foxtrot on the right. So that's it. So it should be the next right. Let's check that. Alpha Delta, which is what we're cleared for, so it's going to be this right here.
Finnair 1035, are you
It's all
ready
clear.
to copy clearance?
Keep the speeds nice and slow, and if it's been raining or snowing, or the airplane can be very slippery around these turns.
Aeroflot 2201, start up approved. Roger. And Finnair 1035, ready to copy clearance.
Okay, stand 23.
Finnair 1035,
Should go pretty quickly.
Nunto to
That's
November
24.
departure, out of runway 22 right, squawk 2052.
So in this gap here, I think.
999 and information Charlie.
Dinner 2 November departure to right, coordinates 999, squawk 2052 Finnair.
Stand 23. I'll turn off the lights. I don't want to blind the ground crew. Although I know there's probably not any there for us today. And then we'll turn around to stand 23.
Taxi to Zulu Golf, contact tower 118.67 as well. Taxi Zulu Golf and tower 118.06, Lima November.
Okay, no guidance or marshaller, so I'm going to cheat again. Do this from the
Lima
outside
November
view.
29 Charlie, squawk mode Charlie please. Squawk mode Charlie.
I believe there is an add-on or plugin that would allow me to have the guidance, so we shall see. It's possible to judge the center line from the flight deck very easily, but it's quite hard
Finnair 1545, are you ready to copy clearance?
to judge the stop marker. There we go. So parking brake is set, and before we turn off the engines, those are very high brake temperatures, so let's put the fans on. And that way the ground crew won't have approached the airplane yet, but really we would have tried to do that on the taxi in. APU is definitely available. I'm going to turn off the engine anti-ice, and I'm going to shut down the engines.
Good evening, Scandinavian
Seatbelt sign can go up.
557,
Passengers
taxi
move
to
out.
stand 1
Once the engines are spooled down a bit more,
via Zulu, Yankee
there they go.
and Delta
I
Fox.
can turn off the beacon light. Right, and then we run our parking checklist. Just going to change the frequency so I can talk to you guys. And here we are in Helsinki. So that's another flight completed. I hope you enjoyed it. Do let me know if you like this sort of thing, or whether you prefer just the tutorials. I'm planning on doing a combination of both. Maybe do a few more of the VATSIM events. They seem quite fun with lots of other traffic around and air traffic controllers. Like I said, this is just for our own amusement. There's loads of things I know I've done wrong on that flight in the procedures and so on. There's no specific airline procedures as I'm using. It's just a way to use the simulator on ourselves, but hopefully just to give you guys a bit of an idea as to what we might do with the real airplane, how we manage our descents. I don't know. You let me know if there's anything you want more detail on or what you found interesting about it. That's it for this time then. Thank you very much for watching, and as usual, do please give me any feedback in the comments, and see you again next time.